What's up? Still Radio Gamescast. We're just here eating our Halloweenies.
What's going on?
What a great bit. For audio listeners, you're missing all of us chomping on various varieties of hot dogs. Solely because Wyatt made a joke about Halloweenies. And we all took it way too seriously.
Let's hope they're missing it and they're not getting me chewing really loudly.
Look,
I didn't think we were going to take it this far, but shit.
Sometimes someone suggests a bit and we all just run with it. And then
Man,
we're
I
like,
have a hot dog to eat. I'm not going to drop
on the
joke
second
after
day
the
of
first
November
minute.
to celebrate daylight savings time ending. We're going to pop in, eat our Halloweenies 2 days late, and talk about horror games and other Halloween-themed things.
And
yeah, you guys
for the
did
viewers.
make 2-day-old hot dogs, right? Right?
Yeah. See,
Right?
the great thing about this is, see, my hot dogs, Wyatt and I got in a heated argument about the best way to cook hot dogs, which we're both wrong, obviously. Neither of us are chefs. But Wyatt was on the side of pan frying, and I was on the side of boiling, just because it's the only thing I've ever done. And just because it was the only thing Wyatt had ever
You
done.
fools, I do both.
So, see, what I decided to do was make 2 hot dogs in fully different methods than either one of those. So I microwaved one, and then in the other, stuck it in the air fryer. And I've learned through this experiment that I probably microwaved it for too long.
Oh, no.
I think it's a little bit... That one feels a little bit chewy in a way that I didn't expect it to be.
Not enough moisture left in the weenie?
Look, well, I did the thing, because if you're ever microwaving a thing that should be moist, the trick is you take a paper towel, you wet it, and then you wrap it around the thing, which I did do. But I think I just left it in there for too long, not considering the fact that I was microwaving a single hot dog of very small size, and it just might have exploded a little bit at the ends. So,
Well, I'd say it's average size at least, maybe even above average.
look, it's a good Halloweeny, what can you say? I'm just gonna keep eating. I don't know.
I can talk about
Yeah,
my
I'm good with this.
ideal method of cooking a hot dog if you need me to buy you time.
Please do.
Vamp a little bit.
Please do.
I both boil it. I like parboil it, then pan fry it, basically.
Ooh, okay. Little column A, little column B. I just like the sear
Yeah.
that you get when you pan.
Oh, actually, what I've learned by
Exactly.
doing this is that air frying a hot dog actually delicious. It's quite good.
Okay.
It's got a nice crisp exterior, so you know that's what you look for in a nice hot dog. I think I also
I
did
hope you
put it
guys
in
are
there
ready.
for too
We're
long.
actually doing this whole episode about hot dogs and not about...
Yeah, I mean that is the
This
point.
is,
It's
this is actually
Halloweenies.
coming out on April 1st?
All of our costumes are hot dog themed, obviously. Can see very clearly.
I'm wearing ketchup and mustard, as you
Yeah,
can see.
you're Scott Pilgrim eating a hot dog is the costume. Yeah. Alex is clearly Gustav eating a hot dog. In the baguette outfit, as is very important. I'm clearly a white mage from Final Fantasy XIV, eating a hot dog, an important part of the costume. And specifically because the store didn't have hot dog buns, just brioche bread. The
It's
bun.
gotta be tasty, though.
Which is good. Hey, good combo. Not correct for a hot dog, I would say, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And Alex, you're also a vampire eating, presumably, a hot dog made of blood.
Blood sausage, if you will.
Hey,
a black pudding.
There you go.
Yeah, great variety of Halloweeny.
There you go.
All right, I think that's enough. We can probably kill the bit now.
Well, I will say, as an end
The
to the
bit don't die until the dog is done, son.
for anyone watching
Well,
this
you're a little
live,
slower
or
because you're watching it eating it out of a baguette.
this, I think, will be an
I'm almost
extra...
at the tip. I got it in pretty far. There's this much left.
I do have to say, I think for anyone that isn't me, this will be a really exciting episode because I can never tell if my body will be okay with 2 hot dogs or literally 1 bite of a hot dog. So
now we're really rolling the dice.
Yeah. I may have to leave at a certain point during this discussion, and then you may hear very loud retching sounds. We
Keep the
time
headphones
can
on.
only-
We want
Yeah,
high
we'll also
def.
find out by if I'm crying in 5 minutes if I put too much chili on the hot dogs. So, and by chili I don't mean hot dog style chili that you would cook in a chili pot, but
That Sonic
actual
would like.
chilies that are hot.
Jesus. All right.
Look, I like my stuff spicy. And then I don't think about the fact that
Clearly.
I get the spicy things and just put them on just by eye, and sometimes it's too much. Sometimes I'm a white man. Look, I gotta admit that, and that I can't handle too much.
The genetics are
and you know what?
against you.
And you know what? I'm really proud that you can finally admit that too.
All right, let's talk about video games. This is either the best or the worst bit we've ever done on the show.
I mean, can
I'm
it not be both?
enjoying
Can it
myself
not
quite
be
a lot.
both?
Yeah, I mean, it is a good combination, to be sure.
I just love with Alex's glasses how intense he looks while eating a hot dog
looks like
and a
he's judging
giant
all of us.
baguette.
It's great. There's a real sense of melancholy coming from that hot dog being chomped
Coming
down
from all
in
hot
a
dogs.
baguette.
Coming from all hot dogs, really.
All right. Well, this
That
is the
French
Halloween
ennui.
episode that we always do.
Yes.
We do it by recording date of whatever's closest to Halloween, which typically ends up being the episode right after the actual date, because we were only 2 days away, so we were closer than doing it the week before. Which means it's Halloween time. We played a bunch of spooky games, sometimes, kinda, maybe. It's going to be a stretch for some of these. Because as we talked about in some of the early episodes this month and last, this season for games was insane. There was a ton of stuff that came out.
A lot of good stuff.
Very, very good stuff, and that means we spent a lot of time playing things that weren't horror. Like last year when we did this, I basically played nothing but Resident Evil. This year I didn't touch any of them, even though I had intended to play RE3 as my game, just because there was too much other stuff. I finished Clair Obscur, which is thematic because Alex is dressed in that outfit, so very appropriate. But yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about, and I'm going to open it up to, I think, the most interesting game that I know one of us played. Because it's topical, and I think it's good to get out of the way. And Alex, I think you know that this is you with Vampire.
Me?
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure I knew that. I actually have a lot of thoughts on this game. I'm gonna try to keep it super spoiler free. I've seen some people's reviews that straight up spoil stuff.
Just spoil the game.
I think
Cool.
Don't
is
pull a me.
best left unspoiled. But this is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, sequel to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which came out in the early 2000s. I want to say 2004, but I'm not certain on that.
Let's go to the check around.
Fact check me. I bought this game a couple days after release. I was very nervous about the quality of the game because I love the tabletop RPG. And I saw reviews.
Yeah,
Reviews
2004.
were negative. Oh, I know my Vampire the Masquerade. But I don't know how to speak, apparently. This game, it came out to like pretty mixed to negative reviews, I feel like. I don't know. I haven't seen
even
much
the
positive
original
on this
did.
game.
The original came
Yeah,
out to
the
pretty
original
scathing
game-
reviews originally.
The original game is kind of like a cult classic. I don't know. I would
Yeah, I'd
say
say it's the
something like that because
definition of like a video gaming cult classic.
people love the story and the RPG elements.
The characters
The
are
game?
really well known.
Yeah. The characters are great. The characters are like half of them made their way into the tabletop game and everything. And I don't know. It's I think a huge influence on people's modern. At one time, Vampire the Masquerade was the second biggest RPG right behind Dungeons and Dragons, but not so much anymore. And I think a lot of its lasting legacy is that game because gamers know it. But this is technically a sequel. It came out to kind of negative reviews, the new one. And I would, honest to God, say that I think it would come out to significantly better reviews if it didn't have Bloodlines 2 on the end
Yeah.
of the name.
That
Because
seems
it
to be a
is-
running
it is
theme. in
not-
What if
lot
it
of
was still a
reviews.
Vampire the Masquerade game? Would that still thing, or just generic
yeah, no,
vampire
it's-
game? It would be better.
No, it's great as a Vampire the Masquerade game.
Because
I think so, at least. I mean, it's
we've
very
gotten-
tied to that lore.
We've gotten other Masquerade games in between the original and this.
They've
one.
done a
lot
couple of
weird,
like
you got a battle
experimental
royale.
ones.
a lot
We
of
got a
weird
battle royale. We got a couple of
spin-offs.
visual novel detective games, which,
Yeah.
The
to my
visual
knowledge, were
novel
all
ones are
reviewed
good,
pretty well.
quite good.
Yeah.
There's
Is it Coteries of New York
before
and Swan Song or something like that?
Yeah, there's some just straight up like interactive fiction stuff too, which are really good. Night Road is really, really good. And before Bloodlines came out, Vampire the Masquerade Redemption was an RPG as well, which has since had a remake project in the works within Skyrim, which is an insane thing.
Huh.
But to be on topic about Bloodlines 2, I was far less negative on this game than I think most people were. I really enjoyed it. But it does have a lot of flaws, and I can definitely talk about them. But you basically it's like a first person like action. I don't know, action RPG, I guess. People are going to argue there's not enough of an RPG because there's not really a character sheet.
Well, you
And
don't really choose your character, do you?
no, in this one you don't make a character. I mean, you can kind of customize them. But you play as this elder vampire who goes by the name Fire, and you can pick male, female. You can customize what they look like somewhat. And you can pick what clan of vampire you start as. But because you're an elder vampire, they actually have way more powers at their disposal than just what the clan usually does.
Would
So
you say
throughout the
it's
game, you end up unlocking more anyway.
is it kind of similar to like Witcher 3, where like it is an RPG, but you have to play as Geralt, and you can play as different flavors of Geralt, but you're still like Geralt at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's a pretty good. Yeah, I would say there's a little bit less choice. This game is fairly linear, which I think are some people's major problem with it. I ended up liking the story they were going for and everything, and I enjoyed it regardless of it being pretty linear. I think my biggest problem with the linearness is actually by the end of the game, there's so many things I'm running around doing, but like not actually in the open world needing to do anything besides just go from main quest to main quest. And I'm like, I'd be okay at this point in the game. I've got the skills I want. I don't need to level anymore. Can I just skip to the next location instead of walk through the whole city to get to the next location?
Unnecessary.
Yeah, I would say that the open world is fairly unnecessary. I like it early in the game. It feels fun to kind of explore around. But I think this is, I would guess this is like a budget and time kind of thing. There's very little side content. There is some side quests. I stopped doing them because I found them kind of boring, and I had the powers I needed. I didn't need the XP. But I did learn after I beat the game, there is 6 possible endings, and I think one of those endings you only can get if you do some of the side quests. So I didn't know that at the time. And I still don't know how to get that ending because by the time I looked it up, finished the game and looked it up, people on the internet really don't know how you get that ending.
Well, that's neat.
Yeah.
At least
I didn't get. Speaking of endings, I didn't quite get the ending I wanted, but I liked it enough. It was fine. But you play as an elder vampire. They're pretty powerful compared to like what you would have played in Bloodlines.
Yeah, Bloodlines, you're
you,
a scrappy, like, newborn.
Yeah, you
vampire.
just got changed at the beginning of that game. And this is, you've been woken up after like 100 years of vampire sleep. And
you can punch a guy against a wall and splatter him. Is one of the first things you do, right?
You do, that's right away.
Hell yeah.
And it's pretty fun. I would say that it doesn't end up coming up a ton that you're an elder because there's sort of like a mechanical and plot reason that you've been sort of power dampened. And that's part of the mystery of like, why are you not like a freaking killer vampire? And it also just mechanically keeps you from starting the game overpowered. I had a lot of fun with it though. It's the combat I didn't like at first, and by the end of the game I still didn't like it that much. But it's way better than it would have been in the original Bloodlines.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget how absolutely filled with jank Bloodlines 1 is.
Yeah, I heard some people complain that it was
to fix that
first person rather than third person. That didn't bug me either. I really enjoyed the story a lot. There you play as Fire the Elder in modern Seattle, dealing with a bunch of problems, and then there's some flashback scenes where you play as one of the side characters who you basically get these flashbacks where it like sort of explains what happened just before Fire woke up in Seattle, and then like flashback within a flashback to see how that connects to like the 1920s and stuff that was going on then. So you get some like backstory to why things are occurring in the modern day, and you kind of are solving a mystery in the modern day, and then like, well, it kind of tracks back to what was happening in the 20s. So it's sort of like a simultaneous, you're solving this mystery across a period of time. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I would call it like a 7 out of 10. I don't know if it's a $60 game for everybody. I paid $60 for it and I don't regret it. I'm a big Vampire the Masquerade fan. Um, so I think I'm the target audience. I would say for anybody not a big Vampire the Masquerade fan or wary about the game, wait till it's on like a Steam sale or something. But I think it does have a pretty good level of quality, and I'm really hoping future updates kind of tweak. And you know how Cyberpunk came out. I had a similar feeling about Cyberpunk when it came out, where I was like, "Wow, people are really harsh on this. I actually really enjoy it." And then it got a bunch of updates, and everybody else came to enjoy it too. I hope this can get some of that. I don't really know. This game was in development hell for a long time and switched studios
changed
completely.
developers to Chinese Room.
It changed a
know
couple
that
times, didn't it? Like more than
I
once,
think
which is pretty
it was on
crazy.
some wacky stuff. But the final developer was a Chinese Room. I think they probably did a great job. I've heard some people speculate about cut content and this and that, and I'm like, I really think that if Paradox was so
the deal
willing
with
to,
the two other clans
there was
fixing the
that
cut
too, yeah.
content, or
Yeah, the whole
That
pre-order thing.
well, no, there was
the
like
one
other stuff.
edition.
Thank God they had originally announced that 2 of the clans were going to be locked behind DLC. But they ended up including those in the game, thank God. And I played as one of them, La Sombra. La Sombra was awesome. Honestly, don't even know why you would go with another clan. That was so fun.
What
and
is La
seemingly way
Sombra's
better.
deal? I don't remember
They do
much
like
from the original.
shadow magic. Yeah, they do shadow magic. And so they actually were really good for stealth. The Banu Hakim were kind of pitched as the stealth clan, but they were not. I don't know why they pitched them like that in the promotional material.
I suspect this is
really
a game I'm
liked
going to end up playing and enjoying when it's on sale, like you mentioned.
I really enjoyed a lot of the character writing, and the dialogue is kind of limited. It's not as deep as an RPG as the original. It's kind of in the same way where like Fallout 4 or Witcher 3 is like fully voiced, so there's a bit more of a limit on what you can say.
For the dialogue stuff, is it like the Fallout 4 thing where it says one thing in the tiny little preview and you say something completely different? Okay, that's good.
I never had a moment where I was like, that's not what I intended to say at all. It was always pretty clear. But in the same way, it's pretty linear. Most of your dialogue options are just to explore topics more.
Flush out the world a little.
Yeah, and there are some major decisions. Like I said, there's 6 endings to the game. But a lot of it is more just like how you talk to the characters. Most of the time, you'll get the same, the required information out of them, no matter what, to progress. I'd give this game like a 7 out of 10 on my scale. I liked it a lot.
If it's in the territory with like the Warriors games, just a good way to spend some time if you're really into the setting.
Definitely, if you're into Vampire the Masquerade, give it a try. If you're not into Vampire the Masquerade, I'd still think it's a pretty good starting point. But, wait for Steam sale, which I'm sure, I am like positive this game has reviewed poorly enough that it will go on sale relatively soon. I hope it has reviewed positively enough, though, that it gets some traction. I can go into detail.
It also has expansions coming, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think those are going to be playing as some of the side characters to flesh out what they were doing before the main story.
That's I'm looking at it now. It seems like, you play as different characters. It's interesting.
I'm curious about that because one of those characters, especially at the end of the game, I was like, well, what was with what he said and like some of the stuff he did early in this game? I was like, what was his motivation? We didn't quite see that. So I'm curious how they'll fill that in with the DLC. I did not buy the deluxe edition. Felt like I was taking a risk buying the game at all. So I probably will pick them up eventually, depending on how they review and Steam sale kind of thing. Well, I didn't actually I bought it on PlayStation 5. I've heard some technical issues with this game as well, but I bought it on PlayStation 5 because it looked like it was going to play really well with controller, and it did. And I didn't have any tech issues, really, aside from there was occasionally some stuttering around when loading in and out of zones. My game crashed like once when I was doing that. But other than that, it was pretty bug-free. Oh, in one of the final arenas, there was a bit of floor that didn't have collision on it too.
A bit of floor that didn't have collision on it.
Yeah, that was frustrating.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, that's
I
fascinating.
eventually remembered where that was, and I didn't touch it. But that's the kind of thing that I expect they'll probably patch in like a week. I just hope that this game does well enough for them to continue to make them, because I'm pretty sure that Paradox owns the entire Vampire the Masquerade IP
franchise.
Yeah, which is kind of strange because they don't typically
they're
publish
grand
tabletop
strategy.
RPGs.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, so I really do think they purchased this just to make a Bloodlines game. And so
I don't know, because
and then proceeded
I
to
play
not
a
make
ton
a
of
Bloodlines game.
ton of Crusader Kings, and I've put a lot of Europa Universalis before.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, World of Darkness has some really popular mods for both of those games.
I'm sure.
So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to do like you play as the Masquerade in a grand strategy thing. Could be a cool game too.
Give me Crusader Kings, but it's set during the Vampire the Masquerade Dark Ages.
I think that literally is like the mod that exists. Let me see if I can find it.
Awesome.
I don't know if it's out for 3 or if it was just for 2, but yeah, there's some really popular World of Darkness mods for Crusader Kings specifically.
Well, I guess I misspoke, but I think that Paradox is really interested in the video game aspect of Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this game has done well enough for them that they can continue to make them. Otherwise, I would be willing to bet they'll just sell off the whole Vampire the Masquerade IP as CCP, who makes EVE Online. They previously did that. They bought up all of Vampire the Masquerade to make some video games, then actually just decided to cannibalize the team to make more EVE Online, and then sold it. And Paradox bought it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's rancid.
So there's a lot of opinions about Paradox's ownership in the tabletop game. Some people don't like the new edition, and there's very valid critique of that, just as there is with this video game. But overall, I think it's still a healthy game. So I'll be curious to see where it goes, because I do think that this game is not only make or break for Paradox making more Vampire the Masquerade video games, but maybe Paradox owning Vampire the Masquerade as a whole.
Well, it's interesting too, because I was not familiar with who the Chinese room was. So when I looked it up, it's almost entirely walking simulators.
Yeah, they've done a number of really high profile ones. Like they've made some good stuff, but
when I say walking simulators, I don't mean that in a bad way.
But just in like this is definitely a different thing for them.
It's very outside of the wheelhouse. Like
I would say that if and when you ever play this game, you will definitely see some of that influence, though. I feel like it's walking simulator, but there is also combat, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like it still has a lot of the kind of narrative storytelling that I think a lot of their previous games did. But
I knew at least Still Wakes the Deep
beat
got
the hell
really
out of
good
some
reception
vampires
for the most part. So they've done some great stuff, but yeah, it seems cool. This is on my list to play at some point, but I am disappointed that it seems not as much of a sequel to Bloodlines, because I did really like Bloodlines and its like RPG systems.
And I truly think that because of like the development hell kind of development cycle this went through, I think that by the time Chinese Room got it and ran with or scrapped most of what was there before, I think they scrapped most of what was there before. I'm not really sure. I would be willing to bet that they probably even pitched, hey, why don't we not call this Bloodlines 2? Because it's like we're making a different game.
Yeah.
And I would be willing to bet Paradox said, no, we've already marketed Bloodlines 2. There are some connections and some similarities, but it's pretty thin. I would say that this is pretty much its own game entirely. And I wish they had named it something else. Call it Vampire the Masquerade Seattle by Night or something.
It's interesting that they didn't do it that, because that like I know LA by Night is a really popular tabletop run that they did. It was very cool. So Yeah, I definitely see the complaints here. Although I did look into, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I looked into, you mentioned the interactive fiction games, which I tend to really like interactive fiction things.
Pick up Night Road if you can.
Looked at Night
really
Road,
good.
didn't realize it's by Choice of Games, which is a very generic name for a company, but
yes, it is.
They make a ton of like stuff and have been for like the past over a decade. They made a lot of Choice of games back in the original like iPhone era that you'd play on your phone that were generally very good as like interactive fiction where you do decision-based stuff. So
I've heard mixed things about some of the World of Darkness related ones, and it pretty much all depends on the author. You know, they kind of publish anything, but
they're functionally just like crazy
check out
choose your own adventure books.
It's a lot of fun.
Way more interactivity usually. But
so, I guess to again just sum up, I really enjoyed this game. I think your mileage may vary for people clearly, but it's been getting kind of negative reviews, and I don't think it's that bad. I'm kind of surprised at some of the reviews I've seen, or some of the reviews I've seen specifically call out hating characters that I really enjoyed. So
it seems like this happens with a lot of 7 out of 10 games where because so much of internet discourse is one extreme or the other, if you have something like a 7 or 6 out of 10, people don't know what to do with that, and so immediately it's like, oh, it has to be bad.
It means it's fine. Do whatever you want.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say here. Is like, it's a fine game. I keep seeing reviews that say it's like truly terrible, and it's really not that bad. I've played way worse games. I enjoyed this one. There's definitely a lot of flaws with the gameplay itself. Like I said about like there end up to a point where I'm just like, why am I walking so much?
Flaws more with the title than anything else.
And the combat is weird. As the game progressed, I got into it, but at the beginning there was so much of me that I was like, why can I not lock on to an enemy? Yeah, it was really strange. And honestly, I think this may be a game that's better played on a low difficulty, because I played it on the second highest difficulty, which was called normal. I have opinions there too. But by the end of the game, a lot of the harder enemies just kind of felt kind of spongy after I had like figured out a good way to defeat them and stuff. I was just like, I'm just spending time killing these guys. It's not like I'm powerful enough that I can do it without issue. I've kind of figured out a rhythm to how to do the combat and like chain on my attacks, and then I'm just sitting there like, okay, punch the guy 600 times, and hit him with the teleport behind you move, drink his blood, punch him 600 more times. So like I actually would probably recommend playing it on easy or something like that. Maybe not the most
punch him 600 more times after drinking his blood?
Yeah, well, like that's for there's like a bunch
that's
of
not considered
like,
a finisher move.
Human enemies that you finish immediately when drinking their blood, and then there's like some of the bigger like vampire enemies which take multiple drinks because they'll shake you off.
So I'd probably do the same if someone were trying to drink my blood. Yeah, trying to shake them off.
Oh, also another complaint I have about the game: so much about the game is about like the masquerade, which is super important in the lore. It's literally like you can't let the rest of the world know that there's vampires around because there's way more humans than there are vampires, and they'll roll up with flamethrowers and stuff. So much of the game is about that and like keeping that a secret, but then also this is a game where like the gameplay feels like kind of like an Uncharted, where I'm like, wow, Nathan Drake is like a kind of normal dude who has killed 600 people in this game.
the Ludo narrative dissonance
real
award.
Problem here.
Yeah, so like at the beginning of the game, you sort of like go on a rampage, and then like the other vampires kind of like admonish you. They're like, you can't just go around killing like 10 cops. And I'm like, 10 cops? You just told me to kill 50 guys over there.
You told me to kill 50 dudes.
Yeah, I'm like, there's like 20 dead vampires on the roof of that building that I just happened to come across on the way over here.
Uh-oh, I'm getting Fallen Feathers madness flashbacks all over again.
So that was a little bit weird. It was one of those things where I'm like, I have to kind of lift the suspension of disbelief for there to be gameplay in this game.
Yeah.
But it was a little odd. But overall, I really liked it.
Yeah, it's definitely something I want to check out more at some point. Yeah, it definitely feels like the biggest issues were like the way it was advertised and probably the pricing a little bit. I think is maybe driving people the wrong direction too.
I think this is probably like should have been like a $40 game. It's not terribly long. It's longer than I thought. In fact, there's a lot of points where I was like, I have to be coming to the end. Oh my god, there's another twist.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed games like Vampire and other cool like vampire fiction video games. So it seems like it's worth playing.
If you're cool with it being a pretty narrative story, I just had fun for the ride. I think that it helped that I did not buy the day one. I bought it a couple days in, and I had read some reviews that tempered my anticipation for it being a Bloodlines sequel or being a deep RPG. And so I was like, with that in mind, I enjoyed it for what it was. It just wasn't what a lot of people were expecting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sounds like at least you had a good time with it. So fun to add to our list for a sale. I'll jump in next because I think this game is kind of weirdly in the same category-ish of narrative games. I've played a lot of
7 out of 10?
No, I would say this game is not a 7 out of 10.
I'm super interested.
Yeah.
I wanted to play Dispatch for this episode so I could say, well, it's not a spooky game, but it's a game where people dress up in costumes.
Yeah, that's my logic. Superheroes are a very common, Halloween costume, so it fits. You got masks on and stuff. I am caught up to Dispatch. I played all of it in one sitting. Not to say that it was that short, but I was really into it. Yeah, Dispatch, it's one of those old classic Telltale style games with a layer of like management sim. I've heard it's somewhat like This Is the Police. The animation quality, the thing that stunned me the most with this is like you see the trailers for this game. It looks gorgeous, like in motion. The whole game looks like that. That's not just like a trailer. They didn't cherry pick scenes. That's what the game looks like. It looks like you were watching 3D Invincible as it's going through these scenes and stuff. It's really, really good.
Happy that game's doing well.
Voice acting is top notch. Everyone's killing it. I'm really curious to know like what the behind the scenes of Dispatch is with the like funding situation, because whenever you start a new episode that's like supported by Critical Role pops up. I assume they got funding from them or something, because half of Critical Role is in the voice cast. But yeah, it's fascinating. I do think so. By the episode count that we know is out, we're about halfway through. It's episodes 1 through 4 are out, and we are waiting on 5 through 8, so we're basically exactly at the halfway point.
That's a pretty typical length.
Are reviews going to come in with enough time for this to be with the fantasy? Okay.
So we should. Good. They're releasing episodes every week instead of every like month, like old Telltale releases. So
they're releasing them batches of 2. Of those Telltale games.
Yeah, they're coming out in batches of 2, which feels very manageable because it's like each one has been between 45 minutes to an hour and a half, I would say, of like content that you really go through. Like, I don't think a run of this game is going to take you that long necessarily. I think I hit about 4 hours for the first 4 episodes total, like on the dot, basically. But I do feel like there's a couple of choices that feel pretty meaningful. There weren't in the first 2 episodes. I do think the first 2 episodes didn't feel like there was a lot of, at least like reactivity to what I was doing. But the second 2, there are some major decisions that I've yet to really see the consequence for, but just due to the mechanics of the game, I know there are going to be consequences.
I'm so
things
excited.
Have changed. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff with that. The writing's great. I really like the main character. The characterization is really good for a good old Robert Robertson. Who there are like copious amounts of jokes made about the name. More of it is focused on like relationship dynamics than I was expecting. This is definitely a game that it's very superhero focused, but it also delves really quickly into stressful work relationships as well as like personal relationships with both the main character and what I'm guessing are the romance options. I don't know if it's going to be treated that way because it's a Telltale style game. It might not be that there actually is a full one, but the game can get explicit. I'll say that much so far. There's a nudity toggle, and that comes into play very quickly. You leave it on. Definitely the style is something like The Boys. So yeah, expect that to come your way if you leave it off. Yeah, Dispatch really fun. I think it's just really, really solid so far. The writing has been great. I'm super curious what the choice and consequence is going to look like in the long run, because as of right now, like we don't know what the end point is, and if there are going to be like more than one big ending. I assume there has to be, right? But it's also at the pace the story's going. I'm not entirely confident it's going to wrap up in a way that feels super tight. That's my biggest concern right now. Is like halfway through, I feel like we're not. Basically, we're like a couple days into your new job as a dispatcher. I'm worried that we're going to end at like the end of a week, right? And that's going to be the game, is like the first week or two of this job, and not like a bit of a longer term thing. So yeah, I'm not sure like what the time scale is looking like as we move through it. Right now, it does feel like it's basically been a week at the most in the first 4 episodes, nice. So it's moving quick, but also slow at the same time. So I'm not sure where it's going to end up, because there is like the seed of a greater plot that got planted. We haven't gone back to that yet, so I'm interested to see if that's actually going to wrap up in this one, or if it's a sequel hook or something. So,
I hope it doesn't like sequel bait too hard for like a season.
That said, like from what I'm playing so far, I would very happily play another season of this. Like I think it's super mechanically good to do another game of. This is very interesting. Yeah.
I don't normally like if I come across like a Instagram reel or that form of content. Like if I come across like clips from a game that's this narrative heavy, I tend to just keep swiping because I don't want anything spoiled. But I was on the fence of checking this one out. I wasn't quite sure. But then after watching a few of those like clips randomly of just like some random moments from the game, I'm like, I'm already invested, and I don't even know what the fuck these people's character like names are. Like I have no idea.
No idea what's happening, but it's really interesting.
But it's really
Ponytail Man.
So I definitely want to check this out. I feel like I'm juggling so many different games right now.
I mean, the nice thing is Dispatch is very much like, at least with what's out now, you can finish it in an afternoon. It's not long.
Then that might push me over the edge. But right now it's very like I have too many things that I'm juggling. But I do fully intend to play it, and I do kind of like waiting for episodes and not waiting until they're all out. There's something fun about keeping up with the community in that sense, you know.
So yeah, that has been fun about it, is the fact that people don't know where it's going right now is very cool, because you're kind of waiting to find out. And yeah, I'm very excited to see where the next episode is going to come out, because they're releasing on like I think Fridays or something, or no, Thursdays, Wednesdays, somewhere in that period. They're in the middle of the week. They release in batches of 2, and then figuring out if the ending is the ending or if we're sequel baiting, which sequel baiting, as long as it ends in a solid spot for this season, I'm okay with, because I do think this is definitely like, of the type of Telltale game to get a sequel, this one, the setting feels really ripe for
I don't
being
want
explored.
massive cliffhanger, big attack type deal.
Yeah, like that's my thing. Like this can't end on a cliffhanger to me. I need to end with a solid ending note that has the opportunity to lead into something else.
Will a sequel come out before the Telltale
Wolf Among Us?
What is that? Wolf Among Us. Yeah, Wolf Among Us. I could only think of Fables, and I'm like, no, that's the comic. Before Wolf Among Us 2 releases.
Like apparently it's still coming. I don't know if I believe that, but
will it come out before GTA 6? I don't know.
No,
probably.
Yeah, heavily recommend Dispatch. The only, I think, I wouldn't even say negative right now, but I do think it's something that's gonna push people off of the game a fair bit, is the pricing. Dispatch is $30, which I think is fine for a game like this. Like I played Journey for 2 hours, and that was a very good use of $20 back then, and I played Dispatch for 4 already and had a great time. But this is not going to hit, like, I know a lot of people use like $1 an hour or $2 an hour or something as a benchmark for enjoyment. You're probably not going to hit that with this one. I think you're definitely going to be...
That is a very frustrating way to judge the value of a game. I'm just going to throw that out
there.
Yeah,
I agree. But I do think, like, if you want longevity for a game, this is maybe not a super lengthy one.
I understand if you only buy, like, one game a year,
Yeah.
Because of the age that we're in, and you want it to last. I get that, but also it's more complicated than that.
Yeah, dispatch is not going to fit that. It's definitely going to be. It's very, very high quality and in short doses. So, all right, Alex or Wyatt, who wants to jump in?
I have something that's. I have a little bit of a twofer because I didn't get too far into Dread Delusion. And this is a game that I have been searching for an emulation for so long because it has gone the way of Infinity Blade.
Oh no.
I think I've talked about this at least once or twice on the podcast. Definitely not as much as Infinity Blade. But do you guys remember me talking about a little game called Blood Mask? Mask spelled Q-U-E at the end.
No.
I don't think so.
That let me tell you about Blood Mask. Blood Mask was another mobile only game. I believe also, oh god, is Chair the developer or the publisher? Publisher?
Don't ask us.
I
We
know
don't know
what
what you're talking about.
But that's one of the main like title credits that I always remember from that game booting up and making my phone incredibly hot, almost too hot to hold for this, which was a bit of a problem. Anyway, Blood Mask, very similar to Masquerade Bloodlines, almost to the point of IP infringement. But but for for this being a like one game in not a series or things like that, but the same sort of okay, there's different vampire clans going on. You only really get into like digs into two or three, and you can't choose the one that you're a part of. You're designated one at the start for story reasons. And it's that, and then like big insurgent vampires. This also all happening in Paris. Around the turn of the century. You meet Nikola Tesla in a very Assassin's Creed style way.
Cool.
Well, he helps you create a vehicle to essentially board the enemy vampire's airship, I believe. But so it had a bit of like Infinity Blade's same sort of like
Oh, I totally
swiping
played this. Yeah,
style
I just
combat.
looked this up as you're describing it. Yeah, I know exactly
I
what
love
you're
this
talking about.
game. And one of the most defining features of it, like your Blood Mask, is that you could. And this is long before everyone was scanning their face to put it in an AI deepfake video or whatever the hell. You could take a picture of your face, and it would do like a rudimentary scan of it, and it would put it like matching topology with your face. It would put it on the character model.
It would do like the WiiWare. Yeah, putting it on. That's great.
It would just kind of take a mesh and then just kind of smear it on there.
pretty much, yeah. But I remember having so much fun with the game. I've been looking for an emulation forever, and I haven't found it yet because it doesn't have as big of a following as Infinity Blade.
Man, it is really funny looking at the faces.
Like 12-year-old me was very impressed with that.
Oh sure.
Yeah, very cool. This is an insane dose of nostalgia that you brought back. For people looking for this, it's Blood MASQUE, all one word.
Yeah.
And you'll find some footage of this, but yeah, this doesn't have like any still installable version, I think. Most of the search redirects to vampire stuff.
Yeah, there's either a fight on top of the Eiffel Tower or on top of an airship as the final fight. And I also remember a fight in a like a ballet themed fight in a theater. Somewhat early on. God, I missed that game. I'm gonna go watch a YouTube playthrough of it after this.
It's crazy.
I'm looking at gameplay. The hair is actually pretty impressive.
Yeah, for like a mobile game of the time, this looks quite good.
That's why it made my game. That's why it made my phone so unbearably hot to touch.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. All right, let's jump over to Wyatt's then to talk about the other game, and then we'll come back to Dread Delusion. Because you and I both have things to say about Dread Delusion.
This one's an emotional roller coaster. This one's a freaking doozy. All right,
Oh boy.
strap in. So I picked it's a mouthful of a title, Alien Rogue Incursion Evolved Edition, which is a standard PC and console release of Rogue Incursion, which was a VR game that came out last year or earlier this year,
I think,
something like
yeah,
that.
early this year or late last year, something like that.
Which I'm going to be just talking about the Evolved Edition version. I have no
The flat
experience
screen
with
version, yeah.
yeah, the flat screen version. That's a good way
Yeah.
to put it. I have no experience with the VR version. I don't know how this differs to the VR version. There's some things that I can extrapolate, but that's about it. What we have is a first-person action horror survival game, kind of like if you're looking at the survival horror scale, it's more towards Resident Evil 4 than like Resident Evil 2, I would say. You play as a woman named Zula Hendricks. She goes to like a I think it's like a mining facility. It's some sort of like corporate facility on this planet,
Mm.
and she's looking for someone named. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I was not really paying attention to the story after a while. I was
Kinda blended
really
together.
bored. Yeah, I was kind of like zoning out after a while, because it also relies on a lot of audio logs, and I'll get to that, or like text logs, and I'll get to that in a minute. But regardless, it's an excuse to get you on this planet. Your ship is destroyed. You're trying to find this guy, and you're trying to repair your ship. First, like I said, first person survival horror. So there's a lot of like searching for ammo and health and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
You're kind of making your way through these dimly lit areas. You're fighting xenomorphs. There's some very, very light puzzles involved, that sort of thing. In many ways, this is exactly like I talk about dream games a lot, like especially when it comes to like a franchise game, like what genre or what kind of game do I want paired with a specific franchise? And this is one of mine. Like action survival horror aliens game, and it's got all of the mechanics I ever wanted. Like it has, if you're familiar with aliens, it has the motion tracker as a thing you have
Which
to
is
take out, and it's not
such a
just
good
radar.
like video game mechanic.
It's
Mm.
I'm actually shocked that it isn't in more video games, like more horror games, because
I wonder if it's just because it's so
thing.
identifiably alien that they don't want to copy it.
That hasn't
but-
stopped video games from copying aliens for years. I mean, Dead Space,
Fair.
Dead Space, the necromorphs are literally just xenomorphs, but a bit more zombie. Like, come on. But it has like the motion tracker that you take out. That's like a separate piece of equipment that I really, really love. There's a feature where by default it like pings you a couple times if it senses something, so you can take it out. I turned that off because I wanted to completely rely on my own instincts. And like I said, there's lots of picking up of ammo. There's only 3 weapons in the game. There's the like very iconic pulse rifle, there's the shotgun, and a magnum, right? So there's not a lot of weapons, but it does cover the basics that you would want, right? And it's very slow. It's very like deliberate, which I actually like. It feels kind of cumbersome and a little bit bulky in terms of the movement, but again, I think that actually works really, really well for this kind of game. Like animations of like climbing up things or like turning, like pulling a lever or something take a really long time, but I think that really adds to the
it's classic like Resident
creepiness.
Evil mechanisms where you need to have the time when you're doing things.
I would say unequivocally what this game does really well is the atmosphere. Like it has absolutely nailed the aliens look. Like
super impressive snow effects. It's weird to focus on the snow effects, but like you were walking through the snow area while I was watching you play, and it was very, very cool. It has like the swirling snow that you don't see very often.
And it makes it a lot harder to see even if you have your flashlight on, which is exactly what happens when you're in very thick snowfall. All the interiors look exactly how they should. It's very like industrial 80s, like VHS sci-fi. It looks just right. All of the sound designs for everything, like the pulse rifle sounds right, the motion tracker sounds right. Everything sounds great. And the sound design in general is really, really well done. If there's 2 sounds that you relate to the alien, it's like it's hissing sound, right? And the other one is constantly like it's always on its fours and crawling around. There are so many sounds in the game that either sound like footsteps or sound like the xenomorph hissing. And it isn't that, but it like keeps you on your toes the whole time. And if you get too comfortable with it, then they jump out and they attack you. It's great stuff all around. Unfortunately, where this game falls apart, and it falls on its face really hard, is the xenomorphs. like I can't properly describe how like sad I felt after fighting the xenomorphs the first couple times, because the atmosphere is there, the like aliens vibe is there. It's like everything that I would want in a like an aliens game, and then the xenomorphs just kind of suck. They're very slow. So what they do at first, which is actually I think done fairly well, is there's lots of tunnels and there's lots of vents and like ceiling covers and stuff that they crawl around on where you can't quite see them, and they're like kind of lurking around. So even if you see them on the motion tracker, you don't always see where they are in your vision. Really well done. It's when they make themselves known and want to attack you is when everything kind of falls apart, because they'll slither down from the ceiling and they'll see where you are. And if you're, for instance, if I'm standing here, the xenomorph is at the end of the room, right? There's like a table and a crate that's between us. It will hop on the table, wait for a solid 3 seconds, hop onto the crate, wait for a solid 3 seconds, climb down from the crate onto the floor, take another 3 seconds, look at you, and then slowly start running at you while it's like swiping its claws. And the entire time you're just sitting there and you're pumping it full of pulse rifle lead. And so it's just not very scary once they make themselves known, which is really, really sad. Because these things are supposed to be like the
apex predators,
organism.
right?
Yeah, they're like the perfect organism as they.
They also, one of the things that was really noticeable when I was watching you play it is that they have this like huge amount of hit stun. Whenever you hit them with anything, that just you can just empty an entire mag into one, because they just stop as soon as they start getting hit, and do like reaction animations and just keep doing it until you shoot them. And it looks goofy. Like it straight up kind of breaks the horror atmosphere because it looks silly.
It starts to look like Aliens versus Predator and not Aliens.
Yeah, it's weird when the aliens are not like. One of the things with the xenomorph that makes them so scary is that they're always kind of shifting. They have that like fluid motion that they do whenever they're trying to approach one of the characters. And this one, because of the way that they just like halt repeatedly, they feel way more stilted and almost like robotic.
And they also spend way too much time on their hind legs. And
yeah.
To be fair, in the original Alien, it also spends a lot of time on its hind legs. But that's also because, A, that movie came out in the fucking 70s and it was a guy in a suit. So, there's only so much you could do. But also, that movie didn't really show it in its true form a lot. So even if it was walking around on its hind legs, it was still really scary because of the way it was shot. If you're in a video game, or if you're in an action movie or an action game, you really want them to be on all fours, like jumping around as much as possible. What I was comparing it to in the back of my head the entire time was Colonial Marines, which is like, it's kind of an inescapable comparison. And to be clear, this is so much better than Colonial Marines and so much more respectful to the license that it's like, it's in a whole other league. But it does have a similar problem where the xenomorph just is not very aggressive. What you need to, and to be fair, I played the entirety of Colonial Marines with an overhaul mod installed that really fixed a lot of the AI issues. And even in that crangled, broken game that had to be completely overhauled by, I think it was a single modder, I'm not entirely sure, they had a better sense of like, these things are slipping and sliding underneath and over tables and like trying to get behind you and get in all these angles and stuff. And it didn't always work because it was a crangled mess of a game, but they really tried to make that work as much as possible. And here it's just like they just run right at you, and they even try and do the thing in the original movie when Dallas is in the like air shafts and it does like this, but like again, if you're in kind of a horror action game and it jumps down and does this at you while you're like backing up and shooting it, it's not very scary. It's
Yeah.
not like a very scary
It's also
sight.
like, I think, kind of a showcase of why it doesn't always work to just port something to VR and vice versa, because this feels like a lot of these pauses are probably so that if you're in the VR version, you can like fiddle about with your stuff, because you probably need to like pull your gun out physically from your body, basically, right? Instead of pressing a hotkey or something to move it. And so you end up with being slower in everything you do, because you're physically doing the actions compared to the controller or keyboard just like letting you hit a button. But that means you need to adapt to that when you bring it back to flat screen, because now it just has everything as a pause and everything's slow.
Yeah. And I think the other problem too is the again, they're trying to stalk you as much as possible before actually showing themselves and attacking you, which is effective, but then it becomes really slow once they've made themselves known, like I said. So I think that they
Yeah.
just the tuning there wasn't quite right. And there are moments where it does work. Like Ryan was there for a couple of them. Like sometimes they're not moving, so they're not showing up on the motion tracker, and then their tail just kind of furls down from a ceiling. Suitably creepy and works really, really well. But then, like, again, they'll get stuck in something in the ceiling, and so you're looking around for it, and then you look up, and it's just there, and it's just kind of hanging out, and you're
Hey,
just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, bud,
how you doing?
what's going on?"
It just seems like
It's
their
time for little
awareness of
mouse.
you is not where it needs to be
Yeah,
for this.
and yeah, and man, this would have been like it's not a super long game either. From what I understand, there's like a second part coming, which is supposed to finish the
Oh.
story. I didn't quite finish it. Apparently, it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. But
Mm.
apparently there's like a part 2 coming, which I am interested in checking out just because maybe I'm a sucker. I don't know. Because and to be clear, I did enjoy myself. Like the atmosphere is thick enough, and there are times when the AI works where it can be really engaging and interesting.
Yeah, one of the things like
And
that
maybe
you did while I was watching was you had to like sit at a terminal while you can look to the sides, but you have to stay at
yeah,
the terminal and like do the thing you have to do while checking your sides to make sure you're not getting ambushed, which is cool.
which if the game had better AI would be a lot more of a scary concept.
Mm-hmm.
But it just like I think there were maybe off the top of my head, and let's check my playtime here. Now, this game doesn't take very long to complete, but because I have the worst, absolute worst sense of space in a video game, I get lost a lot. Um, so I'm about 7, almost 8 hours in the game, right? I think I can count. I can think off the top of my head 2 or 3 times where I felt like I needed to disengage from a computer to actually fight something.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those times I was really smart and I threw down like a proximity grenade near my position so that when it charged at me, it just kind of exploded, which felt pretty cool. Um, but yeah, it's like the one piece that's missing, and then everything else would fall into place. Because I love the idea that there's all these vents everywhere that has like blood streaking out of them and stuff like that. And and you can see it. They use those vents all the time to try and get to other parts of the map, and it's like genuinely like creepy. It's a creepy thought, but like the AI just doesn't attack you enough, which is really
Yeah,
frustrating.
it's unfortunate.
Outside of it is unfortunate. Outside of that, there's a few issues. Like the variety isn't great. There's some very light puzzles of like you got to grab these 3 things and put them in a thing, and then type of thing on the computer to progress. Or
Mm-hmm.
um, there's some puzzles where like you have to take pliers and like attach wires in different ways into different nodes to make sure you're getting power, like you're getting running power properly.
Like
Or
a
there's some
pipe puzzle or like crossed wire, find the right
it's
path
like
type
a
deal.
panel of wires that you use pliers and you kind of connect them to
Mm-hmm.
different nodes. It's
Oh,
some
power
like
routing.
kind of it's like power rerouting is a good way to put it. It's like vaguely related to like the BioShock puzzles of like redirecting water, but you're not
Yeah,
The
just like
pipe.
a
Oh,
simple
the pipe
puzzle
puzzle.
minigame.
which again like everything is happening in real time as you're doing this. So you're trying to solve this puzzle, but at the same time you're like trying to hear
To
their
listen to see if
footsteps or
things steep
something
up
like
on
that.
you.
And again, it worked in the beginning before I realized how dumb the AI was.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
um, Outside of that, there face huggers do make an appearance from time to time. They're not super frequent. If they jump at you, there's like a little mini game where you have to click. You have to mash left and right on the mouse to like pull them off. Which
You can pull them off. Oh, the
yeah,
face huggers. Yeah.
the face hugger. No, even with the face huggers, the canon around that is a little flaky, but I tend to not give a shit about that, so I don't really care. The one time there's one genuinely good scare that got me because you're constantly looting like boxes and lockers and stuff like that. There was one time where I opened a locker, and this was like 6 hours into the game, so you've got a good sense of the loop. Open the locker, and there was a face hugger right there. And that was genuinely pretty creepy. that kind of got me. Yeah, that kind of got me.
That's good.
Yeah. The only other thing to mention, there is like they do use the welding tool like they do in Aliens. And it's also like freehand, which is cool. So if you see doors that are welded shut, you bring out this little welding tool and you have to like follow the line and like weld it. And you have to do it by hand. And again, you have to kind of check for your surroundings. Yeah, it's such a shame because almost everything else about it is like exactly what I want from an Aliens
But the
game.
core like horror part of it isn't working the way you need it to.
It's so frustrating. It's so close, but it's so far.
Hey, good game for a sequel then, to get like a sequel that can improve that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if part 2, if they're allowed to really improve on much for part 2, and it isn't just like the same game loop, but the second part of the story, I'm excited for that, definitely. I don't know if I would recommend this to people that aren't Aliens fans, because I think if someone is like completely ambivalent on the IP, the fact that the enemies aren't really that scary.
Probably Isolation is a better recommendation for them, right?
Isolation is a better recommendation. But if you're an Aliens fan, I think I would say it's worth it just because it is so immersive. And it gets most of like the Aliens universe stuff right. And to be clear, I did have a good time. Because again, there are times when the AI for the Aliens does work, especially when they show up in bulk. it can get pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And when you start to run out of ammo, it can get pretty nerve-wracking as well. But damn. We're so close. I really hope Survios keeps going. They're the developer. I really hope they keep going with this. Maybe make a full sequel or something where they can really nail that AI, and then it would be perfect.
Yeah. Hopefully they do get to keep going with that. All right. I got one other game, actually 2 other games that I played, but I'm going to save the final one for last, because I think it is the most interesting thing to talk about. So I'll open with the one that I also only played a little bit of. This is a game I picked up on a Switch sale, Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Maiden. So Fatal Frame is another very storied Japanese horror franchise. Plays very similarly to Resident Evil in a lot of ways, though the main mechanism of combat, instead of like guns, is you have a camera called the camera obscura that can take photos of spirits and like trap them essentially. And so you're able to protect yourself by using this camera to trap these ghosts that are haunting this place. The setup is kind of that you and a bunch of other young women have like faded memories of this island, and one by one the rest of them have gone and started to vanish approaching this island. And so you're playing a couple of them. You play 2 different characters at the start, and then you play one who comes a little bit later on at the end, or not at the end, but at the start of the actual game and into the prologue. And it's really interesting in the way that this game functions, because I think, first of all, visually super impressive for a Switch game, a Switch 1 game as well. I'm playing it on Switch 2, but there's no patch or anything, so it's just working like it would on the Switch 1. And it looks great. It runs great. It's very like steady. I think it probably is 30 FPS, but it feels super fine at that because it's a very slow-moving horror game. So you're not really seeing that like super fast pace that would benefit from a higher frame rate. So it feels fine playing that way. And it's really interesting because it's just such a unique like take on the horror genre, where it's got a lot of like Resident Evil style mechanics. Like you're still going, finding keys to rooms and then backtracking to open them up. in this like big manor that you're in. But you've also got this really interesting camera mechanism that has its whole unique set of rules and things that you can do. There's also a bit of like a almost Luigi's Mansion feel with certain things, in that there are wraiths and specters, and wraiths are the harmful ones, and then specters are just ghosts of the people that were here that aren't actively wishing you harm generally. And you can still like photograph the ghosts as well and get rewards for doing so, very much in the style of like Resident Evils, where you're ending up, you do a bunch of combat scenarios and you get 1,000 Leon bucks or whatever it is, like that bit where the Resident Evil just fully breaks the horror atmosphere and becomes an arcade game for a little while sometimes. Very similar vibe here, where you get like scores as you trap ghosts with your camera. So it's both a horror game and it has a little bit of that like arcade shooter vibe as well.
Is it also similar in that at some point the main character will just shout out Mario?
Shout out what?
What?
Sorry, no, your mic peaked, so I had no
Your
idea
mic
what you
fully
just
deleted what you said.
Is it also similar to Luigi's Mansion in that the character you're controlling will sometimes just call out Mario?
No.
Mario?
Nope. Can't say that Ruka ever calls out Mario.
Mario!
It's interesting because Mask of the Lunar Maiden, to my understanding, is actually one of the newer games, but is a prequel to the rest of them, so it's a good starting point. There's, I think, 2 or 3 available on Switch, but this is the one that I'd heard recommended to start with.
I've always really enjoyed camera mechanics, specifically like, snap camera mechanics like that, way over flashlight mechanics and things like that.
So this
Not
has
like
both.
And I also count like that camcorder, like look through the green filter, as a flashlight mechanic that I do not enjoy. I like the camera so much better.
This is a couple of things. So you have a flashlight that the main purpose of the flashlight is not for ghosts, at least so far. I've not run into a ghost that interacts with it. What it does is your flashlight, which you can direct, is going to like shine in the environment and show things that you can interact with. So as it like
it gives the little interact glint. That's smart. Oh, that's really smart.
And it
that's
stays
nice.
up after you do it. So like once you've seen something, it's revealed.
It's like marking something in your hawk vision or whatever.
But something that gets me with this is, and this is a thing I love. So like White was saying, when you're interacting with in the Aliens game, you have to like pause for a second. Like there's a bit of a delay when you're interacting with things. For picking up or interacting with any object in this game, you have to hold the button down as you slowly like reach your hand down, and it kind of pans out from your character. So for sure you're gonna get attacked at one point while doing this the whole time. And you can let go and you'll stop reaching and pull back. So like it makes me wonder what that's gonna be used for at some point, because it's such a why would that exist if not to be a problem at some point in the future? Which is really fun. And then the camera thing is really fun, especially on the Switch, because you can take up like you'll do it and then you'll have to go like, I can physically, because it supports gyro, you can aim your Switch like a camera. You don't have to do that, but it is fun to do as you kind of treat the thing as your camera obscura and capture the ghosts. So it's got a really cool system, a lot of fun mechanisms. It's got like an upgrade system as well for upgrading your camera to be better. And it saves whenever you take a like defeating shot of something, it'll save the picture in your menu as well. So you can go back and view the like ghost photos you've taken, which look very good.
That's cool.
So yeah, lots of just cool little mechanics. I'm only about an hour into it, so not super deep in, but it's really fun so far. And I heavily recommend it if you want something that's a little bit less like pure horror. Like this is not as scary as a bunch of other games. One of the other games I played a little bit of that I'm not really talking about, because I intend to have more of a discussion on this later, is Silent Hill F, which I only got about 2 hours into, but I do think that's the one I'm probably going to finish first. So I'll have more to say on F at some point. But like the vibe of Japanese horror is very cool, and Silent Hill F is like a horror game. Like there are parts of the game that are horrific and very scary. Fatal Frame is a horror
Plenty
game,
of body horror,
but it's horror in the sense of like a Resident Evil, especially like RE4 in that era of Resident Evil.
Wow, look at how gross this guy is. Kill him.
Not even gross, but just like it's scary in the scenario that's going on, but the actual gameplay is mostly like action and puzzle solving, compared to you dealing with like limited resources, as much as like the earlier RE games. So yeah, it's really interesting. I'm curious to see how it's going to change, and I think it's going to be a great like a holiday game to play while I'm traveling. So excited for that. And then yeah, Silent Hill F. I'm not going to talk a ton about it because again, we're going to talk about it later. But I am really enjoying it so far. I think for me, I like myself a Souls combat system, even if it's kind of jank. So I'll play the Silent Hill. But you've got stamina, dodging, and attacks, and have a fine time compared to most people, I think. So, might be my higher tolerance for jank from some of the feedback I've heard of the combat on that game, but I myself was enjoying it quite a bit. So, yeah, and looking forward to finishing Silent Hill F, but I'm just not far enough in it to really have a ton to say yet. Okay, Alex, you want to talk about Dread Delusion?
Yeah. So this is a game that I have been like egged on by Brett to play for what feels like years at this point. How long ago did this come out?
It was in early access for a while. I think it came out
3?
last year or the year before.
Yeah, officially in its 1.0. This was
Yeah,
on my
2024,
radar
it came out fully.
since it's early access, but I'm probably a lot happier to play this in its full release.
For sure.
This as so far it's definitely the vibes are certainly Morrowind meets Kingsfield. I feel
It's also on sale right now, so heavily recommend. This is one of those games that we can, I think, very clearly throw a recommendation at.
Yeah, I will say for motion sickness wise stuff, because the game is incredibly vibrant in its art style. First off, the introduction to it, phenomenal 2D art style. I love that beginning scroll. That was so cool. Sets up the world plenty enough. I like it. You get a good chunk of lore with essentially, oh, hey, by the way, the moon is poison now. The surface of the earth is mostly screwed up. You're on an archipelago.
Cursed skyships.
Yep. Yeah, you're on an archipelago prison colony. We're gonna use you as a soldier, so hey, you can
And
die a valiant death.
So
yeah,
Dread Delusion has a great like just starting vibe, and that's where the Morrowind part comes through a lot, where it feels like they took a setting that is a little bit alien to most people. Not to most people, like, it is an alien setting. That's the point of it. It's like, I don't know why I conditioned it like that, but the actual setup for it is fascinating, and it's got some great like RPG mechanics, but it's definitely still pretty accessible. Fun combat system too. Dread Delusion's got some really good. It's very Kingsfieldy, but it's just a little bit more spice on top, so it's not.
I have not had a
Kingsfield.
chance to use too many spells other than the Return Home one, but I'm trying to go for a hybrid spell sword build, because I want to. I'm not going to be particularly overpowered and just smash through parts of the game. I've accepted that but I want to experience, both sides without being too squishy. I haven't gotten like too far in it. I believe I've just entered the oh gosh, the sort of first fortress where you're going after the Dark Star mercenary captain.
Yeah, just
through
like by the first
secret passageway.
Like Skyship Bay.
Yeah.
I think that you're still in the prologue, I would say, but definitely pretty far in.
Prologue.
I don't know, like starting Act 1 of the story, I guess would be the better way to put it. But yeah, Dread Delusion, fascinating game. The art style is wonderful. I do think there's another caveat with the art style of, like, you mentioned motion sickness earlier.
Yes!
By default,
yeah, I had to mess with a lot of the settings.
Yeah, by default it does like the PS1 jitter as a thing.
Yeah, I had to
probably
turn
that
that
off if you have
off.
motion sickness. And the number of filters that it has that can make it look more retro. Yeah, that I can totally see that bothering people with motion sickness.
I wish I got to customize a character. Oh well, besides the stats, but oh well.
That's what Tainted Grail is for.
Which we will also be talking about. Maybe not tonight, but I mean, I could talk about
that's
it
probably going to be more towards, I think, start of the new
memory.
year, just because of how big of a game that is and the desire to have some time to play it. But Yeah, Tainted Grail's
yes.
up there for things that I want to play very, very badly.
Hell yeah.
All right. Is that all you wanted to say about Dread Delusion? We hit the main things?
No, I
Anything
could say
else?
it's incredibly. I think it's gonna get to be really fun. It's gonna require some time for me, and it is definitely. I feel like starting out. While it did flesh out the world enough to where I am convinced that I do want to play more, it is starting out pretty
slow.
slow. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely has that like Morrowind. You're kind of a nobody for the first portion of it, and so you're a little sucky and need to get better. But there are some really cool things. Like one of the things I have played about as much of this game as Alex, maybe a little bit more in the early access period, but that period you couldn't. When I had played, you couldn't really go past the part that Alex is at. So you're about as far as I got in the main story, but I did do a number of other side things. There's some really fun stuff. Like you find a cool demon in a tree who can make deals with you, or you can fight them. There's lots of like special islands you can go to. There's like a big clockwork one with a bunch of puzzles and stuff that you can go in dungeons. That feels very like Clockwork City inspired.
I said they looked so the clockwork people looked so Dwemer like construction.
Yes.
The guy was so psyched for that. It's like, come
the
on,
the whole look of Dread Delusion is great.
I was shocked that a Morrowind concept artist did not work on this game.
Yep. And I'm very excited to see the team's working on
crunchy.
some very cool upcoming stuff as well that Dread XP is publishing. Yeah, they're publishing White Knuckle, which is that really cool like climbing game. Let's see.
That's game. That's cool. Yeah, the one where
Entropy
you have to
looks
manage
very cool as well. It's like a tactics game by Lovely Hellplace, who is the dev that did Dread Delusion. So it's like a I'll send you a copy or a link to this as well, Alex, because I think it's gonna be up your alley.
Yes,
feels very cool.
It depends on the type of strategy, because real time, God, I
no,
wish,
it's turn based. It's a turn based thing, but yeah, I think it for sure is up your alley. Yeah, okay. I'll jump in with the game that I played that I think is the most interesting thing I've played in a while. It's very fascinating. So we all know social deduction games. Things like, I think a lot of us, when we were in like high school, the go-to was Secret Hitler as like the main one. Now it's turned into things like Werewolf and Blood on the Clock Tower and Mafia. I remember Town of Salem for ages when I was in high school. It was like the big thing. Played a lot of these then. Haven't played as much lately just because they take a lot of players and can be kind of annoying to schedule. We have a Blood on the Clock Tower game at work that runs sometimes, but that's about the only opportunity that I get to play these normally. So when I found out about a visual novel-ish, I say ish because this has way more gameplay than your usual visual novel, but it is still presented in the style of like talking head characters with text. A game called Gnosia. Gnosia, which is a fascinating game that is essentially a roguelite social deduction game that gets more complex as you go on. It kind of starts at the complexity level of something like Werewolf at the base form and then becomes Blood on the Clock Tower, essentially, the further in you get, with like 15 characters going in at a time. It's fascinating because it has so many layers of things that I didn't know about going into this. I'd only just heard like, oh, it's a visual novel with the basis of being a social deduction game, so I kind of expected it to be mostly still a visual novel and still like a set story, but no, it's set in loops, and you start the game in the middle of like the voting phase of a social deduction game, which has its whole setup here, where the system is functionally like you press A and that continues the other people talking. You press X and you can jump into the discussion with various options that you gain access to over the course of the game. And those things are like things like casting doubt on characters, defending characters, revealing roles, whether or not you actually are that role. So this fully has the system of like you have a job. You can be either just a regular crew member, because the setup is you're all in a space ship that is doing a space warp jump between points. And you've detected a Gnosia invasion on the ship, which is a creature that takes over somebody and will, every time the ship does a warp jump, kill someone. So essentially, you're trying to catch these Gnosia infected people and put them into cold sleep before you jump so that nobody gets killed. And you can hopefully either cure or eliminate the ones that are Gnosia infected when you get out. And like the setup of why this happens is because the ship, when it detects a Gnosia invasion, goes into full on like it's going to kill everybody. Like the ship itself no longer has a prerogative to keep the humans alive when it detects a Gnosia because they're so bad.
How do you spell that, Ryan?
Gnosia. And so you have this whole setup of like everyone's going to die if we don't detect the Gnosia. But this very quickly loops into you are like, whether or not you succeed or fail at finding all the Gnosia, at the end of the time, you loop. And so you'll wake back up at the start of the day, or the start of this like trip. It's multiple days.
Oh, that is a horror game.
Yeah, with a different role, possibly, or the same one. And for some reason, only you and one other person remember that you're looping. So you have you and one other character.
Is it one other person at random, or is it
it's a set
character?
You know it's one character that is looping as well. And this other character that's looping is like, we need to get to the bottom of this and like figure out what's going on. And so you work with them, which is cool too, because this game has like runs the gamut of character archetypes. You've got your traditional like setup, and then you have a dolphin person in a suit that's very cool. It's just a super fun like setup, and all the characters are very recognizable, interesting designs. And the fascinating thing is that every character individually, crew member, has a set of stats, including you, that you can choose and upgrade over the course of the game and like level up. And for you, they're permanent because you loop and you keep your stuff. For other members, they also grow over time, but they're set growths. So it'll be like Comet, for example, is one of the characters, and she is very good at detecting people who are lying. So when you hear Comet say that somebody lied, it probably means that she's right, unless she's a Gnosia and is trying to trick you because she knows that other people know that she is usually good at telling if people are lying. And you've got like this crazy level of complexity on top of it. You have your own stats, things like intuition, which is a stat that will, if you basically pass somebody else's deception, you know when they're telling a lie, but you don't know what the lie is. So it'll be like, oh, this character said a statement that is a lie. Even when it's wrong, if they themselves believe it to be true, it still registers as a lie, right? So it could be that they're a Gnosia trying to kill everyone, or it could just be there's someone who has wrong information and has said this. And this is not a multiplayer game. This is a single-player story game that just is doing a very good job of faking the kind of conversations that people will have as part of a social deduction game. It's fascinating.
That's wild.
Well, I'm just trying to think
so
of like,
cool.
how do you even script any of this? Like,
it's wild.
Crazy.
So, but the thing is, like, when you're in the phase that is the social deduction, like voting part, the way that it works is you get 5 statements that can be made, and then you have time to talk about each statement a little bit. But it'll be things like any character, including yourself, can say they doubt somebody or say that they trust somebody. And you've got that option that'll tick that timer forward by 1, and 5 of these statements can be made, and then people can react either positively or negatively to each one. So like someone could say, oh, I suspect Shigemichi of being an alien or a Gnosia, and then everyone else can go either, oh, I agree, I support that, or I trust Shigemichi and don't want him to get turned and put into cold sleep. And you've got the dynamic of like, depending on where you are in the game, you start with only 1 Gnosia and 6 characters, so it's a relatively small game.
No.
It goes up to 15 and 3, so you end up with like full teams going on, as well as the classic like situation of you've got a character that is there for chaos. So there's a character called an AC follower who's essentially someone that believes the Gnosia should annihilate everybody, and they're a human character. So that you don't need to kill them or put them in cold sleep, but they're a character that will actively just try to mess up the game. That is their role, is they will try to make information as unreliable as possible and basically do everything at random. And they become a nightmare because you don't know if someone's like an AC or if they're a Gnosia, because the AC doesn't know who the Gnosia is. So they might be just fully randomly doing a thing, and the Gnosia are taking advantage of it, or not.
Is it ever possible that the other person that you're talking with that knows they're looping takes on the role of a Gnosia or an AC?
It's possible
or is
for
that like
you to take on the role of a Gnosia, and the other character, and you'll react. So one of the interesting things is that character, they will sometimes at the start of a loop tell you something's up. They'll be like, "Hey, I can sense that something is strange with this loop." That usually means there's like a new event or something.
Gnosia at the start of a loop?
Yeah,
Does it
you
tell
get a
if you're
roll.
Gnosia?
You get a roll at the start, so it's very much a classic social deduction game.
What the fuck?
And it can be really, really cool. Where like the game that I played right before this, because it's very fast as well. Each round is maybe like 15 to 20 minutes.
Oh wow!
I've looped 20 times so far through this, and there's also a meta narrative going on top of it that is kind of like you're trying to figure out what's going on, because like all of this doesn't line up, right? In terms of story, you're like, how are people having different backgrounds every time they start? Like the same character, but they are different roles and different infections. So it's fascinating the way that this all loops. There's another archetype called the bug, which is just like if the bug survives to the end of the game, they explode the universe. And that is the role.
What?
So if they win the game, they explode the universe, and that's part of it. And then you loop again. So it's always like this re-loop situation where you'll like play through a sequence and then loop back. And the reason I started playing this is that I had learned there was actually like an anime of this being made right now. Because there is like an overarching story. I'm just not very far into it. That is like between you and this other character and trying to figure out what's going on. So I'm super interested to see where this is actually going to go down the line. Because there is definitely some like top layer thing happening on top of the already just fun social deduction game. And it has things like you've got stats related to how you can convince people, stats related to how likely you are to get chosen by the Gnosia to get killed at night if you mess things up. So you can just lose the game because you were too good at what you were doing and the Gnosia figured out that you were the biggest threat and killed you. And stuff like that. So it's got all your standard archetypes. It has the character that can save one other character. It's got your doctor who can like tell if the people that were killed was a Gnosia or not. Engineers that can like check someone's role. All that stuff is here, and all of it is like part of the system that you can go, so I know I'm on a team with two other Gnosia, so I have to go in and I'm like, one of them says they're an engineer, which I know is not true. Nobody else is about to say they're an engineer, so I also say I'm engineer, knowing I'm not the engineer. I'm another Gnosia, to mean that people probably aren't going to think both of us are wrong. And then two other people say they're engineers, neither of which is a Gnosia. So you know one of them is probably your AC follower, who's just someone who's a chaos gremlin, and then one of them is the actual engineer. And so you've now got like this list of priority of people to take out, where you're like, okay, now I can take out these roles by figuring out who from this list is like, dude, it has all the stuff that you'd expect. And it like gamifies all of it too. If you've got your text backlog where you can like check to see what people have said, but that's a stat. Remembering what people have said is a stat. So you can go back and check the text, but only up to as far as your stat allows you to. So like if you forget what someone said, you forgot what someone said, right? Like as if you're playing that game in reality, right? Yeah, the level of stuff with this is kind of insane. I highly recommend checking it out. It's very fun so far. If you like social deduction stuff but can't always get a group together, I think this is very much a fun
now I get why you're being so annoying about our fucking hot dog debate.
We had our hot dog debate, and I had literally just come off of the thing where I was the Gnosia in a mission. And
now I understand why you're being such a weird nitpicky dick the whole time.
But the great thing about it too is it's not your success and failure, because you gain XP based on how well you do. But how well you do is not based on how well your team is doing. It's based on how well you as the character do. So if you get cold slept, even if it is the correct option in terms of like the social deduction part, you still lose functionally because you got to loop again immediately. You don't get to see the result of that game.
So the team's progress and your progress are kind of separate.
Yeah, I think what your XP is based on is how well you do in a round. So it'll be like, you get obviously the best if you are on the winning team and you survive. Then the further in you get, like the more nights you pass, is also how well you're doing. And it can get crazy. It can do things like, I had one night where it was like back and forth. We deadlocked the vote 2 times in a row, and then nobody got killed, which lost us the game because we wound up with both of the Gnosia in that vote, but nobody would vote over the other one because we just couldn't figure out which one to vote for. So
no,
because you obviously like you can't like tell characters exactly what to do. This isn't that kind of game. It's more like you have a list of actions you can take, and you hope that they convince people to do the right things, or the things that you want them to do. But it's also like you can play a game and just have no information. Like you can be a normal crew member, never know what's going on, and get killed in the night too, just as you're going through, and you're just like, well, at no point was I helpful in that game. And yeah, it's fascinating. And you get like all the characters have kind of running stories as you're talking to them that kind of fill you in on their background. And I'm just very interested to see where it's going to go because yeah, it's super interesting.
Sorry. I didn't mean to yawn. I'm very tired. I just don't understand. Like again, how you script.
I want to see the back end of this.
Wild to even think about. The flow charts must be schizophrenic.
Because I have experience with like branching dialogue or like branching choices before, and like even the way that I did it with the limited time that I had, I tried to get as many like meaningful decisions in there. But like just there's so many like outcomes from all this with everyone's stats and everything. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm not sure exactly how much how deep into a meta narrative this will end up going, or if it will kind of eventually just become a looping thing. But given that it has an anime, I'm guessing it will evolve into a full.
I was gonna say
at some point, but
just from the screenshots, even though it's all in, I think, Japanese. This looks like
Japanese, but it is.
This looks like the Nonary games, but for people who are even more masochistic.
Yeah, it's kind of insane. But there's less like puzzle stuff. Like there's no direct puzzles you have to solve. The big thing is just keeping track of things like
it's only social shit.
Yeah, but you do have access to like who people have voted for. So if you find out somebody's a Gnosia, you can then go look and like cross-reference the votes for each night to see like, okay, who voted for this person? Because that means they probably aren't another Gnosia, right? They probably wouldn't vote for their own team member unless they're really smart about it. They're usually not voting for their team member, and so you can kind of like, as the pool gets smaller, just cross-reference the prior days and be like, okay, this person never voted for these 2 people who I expect are Gnosia, so you can kind of figure out the whole list of that. Yeah, it's just
what's the like borderline for failing conditions? Because are you on a colony ship that's going to like?
You're on a ship that's just doing interstellar travel, and the goal is simply that you end a day with all the Gnosia contained before they are capable of outvoting all the humans, right?
Okay, before they're capable. Okay,
because
I was going to say like if this is
half or more of the survivors are Gnosia, then you're just screwed because you can't vote them out anymore.
Because I was going to say if this is a colony ship or something, like if you like. Even if you have like technically like just barely half and half on like the Gnosia stuff, just getting them to be outvoted. If you're the only ones on the ship, which I mean, there's probably hundreds more people in cryo if this is a colony ship or something like that. But if it's not, then you're still screwed. If this is supposed to
I
be
get the sense it's only the like
ship.
15 people that are in the game are on the ship. So it's relatively small, but it is super interesting because it's whatever's going on with like the universe getting blown up and resetting is clearly some story thing. So yeah, it's fascinating. Really, really interesting game. And if you're into the social deduction stuff, the actual like game part of this is way more gamey than any other like visual novel that I've played. It's got a lot of meat to the actual game. And you even like unlock commands too. You can do things like gain the ability to like deduce if someone is almost definitely human or definitely a Gnosia. Even if you're bad at social deduction through a logic skill, you can like get your logic skill high enough that it will kind of do that for you. If you see enough actions that correlate, it'll like go, oh, this person's almost definitely this thing, which is really interesting. Yeah, you can kind of like get stats that do things like that, allow you to manipulate people. Both good and bad, right? Because there can be things that are gained by like declaring your role even if you aren't a thing, because sometimes you just want to confuse the Gnosia and make them wonder like what's going on, so you'll try to like even layer your own declaration on top of that, or you can order someone else to be like, hey, we need to know who the doctor is to know what our information is, and that'll generally start a cascade of people saying that they're the doctor, and you know all but one of them are lying.
I need to break into the offices of this studio.
And I think it's only
I
4
need to,
people.
like-
I believe it's only 4 people at the studio that made this.
or
Oh,
wherever.
God.
I need to like access their files. I have to. I
I
demand
have to
know
see the
how this
flowcharts,
works.
right?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, definitely the most interesting one I played this time around, I think. And yeah, it's currently on sale on Switch. It's also available on Steam. Very heavily recommend checking this out if you like social deduction or visual novel stuff. Very cool.
Shit.
All right. Well, I think we've done it. We've done the
Yeah.
discussion of our Halloween things. It means it's shout out time.
I got one locked and loaded, ready to go.
Ready to go.
So I watched some horror movies with some buddies on Halloween, as you do. One of them was Alien, which is one of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite movies of all time. I fucking love that movie. But the other one was a horror movie I'd never seen before called Trick or Treat. Has anyone here seen Trick or Treat before?
I don't think so.
Oh, is this? Oh God. It's.
We got a maybe.
I might be confusing this with like a Halloween or Michael Myers spinoff, but is it the one where it mainly follows like a kid in a jack-o'-lantern mask, but it's mostly
Yes.
Okay.
So the premise is it's really cool. It takes place in one night. It takes place on Halloween night. And the idea is that there's a handful, it's like 4 or 5 different stories that are all happening separately, but they're also intertwining with each other every now and then. And they're all kind of like different, almost inspired by different kinds of horror, which is kind of interesting. But they're all centered around the, a lot of them have to do with like the sacrificial origins of Halloween. And so as these different stories play out, they're also in non-chronological order as well. So sometimes you'll see someone, you'll start the movie with one character who will pass by another character or like speak a few words to another character, and then like 30 minutes into the movie, we then follow that character who runs into that first character. So the way everything intertwines with each other is really interesting. And the twist is so cool that I don't want to give it away, but it makes you watch the movie differently.
There's a cool twist.
It's a really cool twist. I won't say what it is, but it was really freaking cool. It was a really cool movie. Very uncomfortable sometimes. There's a couple twists that it takes in there that like genuinely made me really uncomfortable.
Get a little disturbed.
Which is exactly what you want for a Halloween scary movie.
Of course.
So that was really cool. Well done.
Sweet. I can toss out a quick one. I am going to shout out the game Dreamspring, which is an early access game made by Billy Fighter, who, if you know that name, you probably play a lot of Morrowind, because they make a lot of Morrowind mods. This is a super micro budget indie thing that is like, it's $11 on Steam. Early access, basically Kingsfield-like thing. Super jank, super weird. I couldn't stop playing it. It's one of those games where it's like, objectively, I don't think it's a good video game in terms of like, just in the way that it is constructed. It's clear that it needs a lot more work. It only entered early access very recently, but it's, I think, really fun right now.
I think
even
jank
with
for you is like a selling point at this point.
It depends, because like this one, it's got the vibe down. Like it's got the like monolithic structures of a world. It's inspired by Morrowind and games like Dread Delusion and stuff. So there's a lot of overlap in all those types of games, and it kind of nails that like large scale setting and just almost the boomer shooter feeling of like just moving you through it really quickly, compared to a regular RPG where it does have stats and stuff, but you're not generally like making tons of decisions. You're mostly just going, like you go until you get to the whatever you're trying to find. And you have like a gun, and you got whatever weapons you find on the ground and spells and stuff. And it's just a lot of cool little game. It's neat. I like supporting solo devs, so
they should put that as like one of the quotes. Is a lot of cool
little game.
A lot of cool.
A lot of cool game.
All right, Alex, what you got?
My shout out is in the same vein as Wyatt's. This is a game. This not a game. This is a movie that I definitely needed to watch for Halloween, but I didn't have the I didn't
The
have the
chutzpah?
typical friend to watch it with, because we keep watching this movie almost every Halloween that we're together, and we keep on finding like, that's why this twist worked out. it's it, the horror movie I'm talking about is Triangle. If any of you guys have heard of it.
Right.
I've not heard of it. Add it to a
Basic
list.
premise is sort of your generic gaggle of young adults going on just like a little boat trip for the weekend. There's a storm, and to get out of the way of the storm, because our boats, I forget if they're just going on it because they're curious or if their own little boat gets wrecked. But a giant cruise ship comes out of the mist. It's completely abandoned, and they climb aboard.
How fun. Yeah, sounds like a good spooky vibe movie. All right. Well,
it's very interesting.
That's the end of the show. We did it. It's the shout out time. The intention is that next week is our spoiler discussion for Clair Obscure. So
I will be wearing the same outfit.
Yeah, assuming that the dates for that work out, because Brett's schedule is notoriously very difficult to work around compared to the rest. So ideally, that will be the episode next week, is our full spoiler discussion of Clair Obscure. If we can get through all of it in one go, we were going to record it last time when we did the initial Clair Obscure spoiler-free discussion. And then we talked about the spoiler-free part of that game for an hour and 20 minutes. And we're like, we can't talk about the rest of this in that amount of time.
So we split them too. Again. My God.
Potentially. We'll see if make sure that the schedule works with Brett. But that's the idea. If not, that'll be coming very soon afterwards. So expect that coming up. And then, yeah, lots of normal podcast episodes and stuff as we go into the season of things like the Game Awards and other cool events happening. Reminder, subscribe, like, leave a comment, YouTube, Twitch, podcast platform of your choice, all that jazz. See you next week.
It's Game Awards season, dude. I'm getting hyped. I'm already
getting up to it.
It's gonna be a bloodbath.